said this on the radio here a second ago. I think sometimes in college basketball, and this isn't anybody's fault, this is what it is, but the name on the front of the jersey, we put too much value into that. We're thinking about who's good and who's not. Eastern Washington may not have that national type name. That's a really good basketball team. I mean that. I'm sitting there watching the game against Ole Miss Friday night after our game against Detroit, going, who the hell's the head coach that scheduled this game to start the year? I mean, that's a really good basketball team that has a system, an identity. Their system and their identity fit the parts. It's a program. And then you look back and they won 18 games in a row at one point last year and won their league. They're a good basketball team. So forget the name. It's a good basketball team. When you beat a good basketball team by double figures, that's a good win. So I'm pleased with that. Obviously, I'm glad Victor decided to show up to play for us this year in the 23-24 season. I'm saying being sarcastic, but he had a really good preseason, a really good offseason. He's really improved, and I've got to see that most days in practice. I'm glad everybody else that was watching got to see that today. So I was pleased with his performance. I thought Jizzle gave us some really meaningful minutes. I think at times the first two games you're going, come on, Jizzle. I don't want to play you to give you experience. I want to play you because you help our team. Today he helped our team. It wasn't just getting a freshman point guard some experience. He helped our team today, and that was really good to see. I could keep going kind of down the list, but I thought it was a good win. I thought we had a chance, to really bust it open up into the 20-point plus lead there, and just made some silly plays defensively. Couldn't convert a couple shots or easy shots around the basket, and so that was a little bit disappointing. We weren't great on the free throw line. I hated this on the offensive board tonight. And we only had three at halftime, and three of them, those were all three Victors. So everybody else had as many rebounds as I did on the offensive board in the first half. So I was displeased with that, but I think with this new team and young team and without two really key pieces that aren't playing for us right now, I was pleased in the short turnaround to come out and put it together for us.
Defensively, without Aziz and Jamil, is there a different? Do you have to shift the mentality, the focus? Because it looks like running teams off the line, like being a little bit more aggressive on the perimeter, has been in play the first couple games.
Well, I think if people have followed the teams that we've coached for now a significant period of time, we've always placed a huge emphasis on guarding the three-point line. You can look at the analytics. I'm not giving anything away, because anybody that just looks at the numbers we've made an emphasis of that for a long time. It's a lot easier when you have when you have Aziz and Jamil as a part of your front line with Odie and Vic, because when you're running people off the line, it's a hell of a lot scarier with those guys standing down there. So I think that's something we value defensively, and we value it in recruiting, which is why we recruit guys with great length and timing and size, not just at the front court positions, at all positions, to be quite honest. And so, I think it'll be a lot better defensively if Aziz and Jamil were out there.
Victor goes 9 of 12 tonight, plays solid defense as well. Is this kind of the full package game that you as a staff and you as a coach expected to see from him at times this season?
Well, I thought the first thing with him was he finally established himself around the basket tonight, early in the game. And that's the thing that we all know he can do. He finally did it. Scored around the basket, got the 3 offensive rebounds in the first half. And so that's the one thing that I've been really frustrated in the first 2 games. I actually called him a couple days ago after our first game against UIC, and I said, we're up here having arguments as a staff of different plays we got to call to get the ball inside. And I said, we don't have time to put new plays in right now. I finally just called him. I said, it's a stupid argument we're having as a staff. You need to post harder, run the rim and post harder early in transition, roll and seal better. There's all these opportunities to get post catches in our flow. You need to just damn do it so we can get back to establishing you around the basket. And he made a concerted effort to work on that in practice this week, and it was good to see that happen. Then in the second half, I told him, I said, I'm not going to say you're not playing hard, but I want you to play harder. Like, it's time for you to play harder, and I'm talking defensively. And then I thought Odie really set a tone with a couple effort. We got the block, and he's in the timeout just huffing and puffing. And I looked at everybody. I said, we all got to play as hard as Odie. And I thought Vic went out after that, and that's the hardest I've seen him play defensively in a segment in a game this year. And then things really came to life, and we pushed that lead out. And then obviously the last part of Vic's performance tonight that I liked was, you guys haven't been believing me that he shot it so well all preseason. He finally makes the 2 threes. I just want him to be as happy about a defensive stop as he is about making those shots. But it was good to see because he spent a lot of time working on that.
Kind of going off of that, did you see him more comfortable having that true big-on-big matchup finally, or was it just the mindset change that led to that increased performance tonight?
No, I just think mindset,
Okay.
Being intentional about it. We pride ourselves on being a program that develops players. And I think there's so much more to development than just doing skill and drills. And everybody does a bunch of skill development in college basketball. But developing players is about letting players grow, try new things, add to their games. Like, that's one other piece of it. And so what's interesting in doing this now 13 years, Vic's starting to develop a perimeter game, shooting it, making more decisions on the perimeter. And you see this trend all the time. When a guy that's always played around the basket and had success starts to add that perimeter dynamic, they fall in love with it a little too much right away because they've never done it or they get too focused on it. It's a natural progression. So it's like, okay, Vic, you've got this extra part to your game. You're a much better player out there. You can shoot the ball. You can make decisions. But don't lose what got you here and what made you Vic Locken. And I think that's the progression that I knew we'd see this early in the year. He established himself in the areas he's always been good. And then now some of that extra stuff comes to play, and he's a significantly better player. That's part of the development process.
He talked about at media days about having that good balance between inside and outside. Is this kind of the balance that you want to see from him?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eastern Washington's biggest run, there's only 5 points. I think that occurred early in the first half. Was that anything special you're doing to help limit those runs?
We're trying to run the floor, and I think when we do run the floor correctly and make the right decisions with the ball, it looks pretty good to me. I don't know what it looks like to all you guys watching, but we're dynamic in the open floor on the possessions that we do what we're supposed to do. Every once in a while we try to do something we shouldn't do, usually with the dribbling the basketball, right? Or guys don't run. You don't get all 5 doing their job running. And so that's the inconsistency of our running game. But I think what's neat is when we're actually doing the things that we practice, we're having a lot of success in the open floor. We just got to get to more consistency. I know you talked about runs, and I'm talking about our running game, but I do think they go hand in hand a lot of times.
11 points, 5 assists for Day. The talk coming into the season was he was a guy that never yet played Division I basketball. Through 3 games, are you happy with what you're getting from Day so far?
Yeah, and Day-Day's going to be great. I've said this every time I've been interviewed. We got the right 2 guys. They're just young and inexperienced. And when I say young, Day-Day's not young in age and maturity. He's just young to this level of college basketball. Jizzle is young in age. Okay, so they're young in their own right and inexperienced, but they're the right 2 guys. They're the right guys to lead this team at that position. These early games, Chad, are so important for them to do good things and get confidence and make mistakes so we can learn and teach. And that was what kind of went on there with Day fouling out. It wasn't just a bad defensive play. It was now he fouls out and we don't have our point guard that's best at breaking pressure. So, no, I didn't think it was Day-Day's best night. I thought he put the ball in jeopardy a couple times early in the game. But, yeah, overall, I'm excited about him. And I was really, really pleased with Jizzle's play, which I already said in my opening statement.
Are you okay with him trying to dunk on somebody every 3 or 4 opportunities?
Well, my college coach who was at practice this week, which was a real thrill for me, he used to always say, if you can't dunk, don't try. And I never tried. But Day can dunk, and so I'm okay with him trying, but he's got to make sure that we're converting at a higher level, right? I really liked the play at the end of the half because I thought that was the right play. It went down and out. There was contact. There's been a couple plays where it'd have been nice for him to draw the help and which he did, and kick it because it wasn't a realistic finish. But I think that's part of his development as a player. So I do want him attacking. I do think he's going to have some highlights, which was close there at the end of the half. But there's a couple times, and you guys, I think this is what you're referring to, where he's just trying to figure out this level, that play that I could make in junior college. Maybe it's a little different if they get there earlier.
Could you have done that with a trampoline?
Yeah, with a trampoline. Yeah, I was pretty damn good with the trampoline. It's the only reason I know what it feels like to be up there.
Wes, if I could go back to Vic, if you don't mind. This was a career night type performance, just in terms of the counting stats. But even, putting the counting stats aside, the effort was there that you were talking about. It seems like it was a process to get to this point now. What are you telling Vic in terms of sustaining this level and this kind of output?
Yeah, just respond. I mean, we talk about responding every day. That's like a hot button word or value, daily value in our program is how we respond when things don't go well, how we respond when things do go well. And it's usually the same thing. Work a little harder, grow, improve. Like that, we got to respond. How quickly do we respond? So it'll be the answer to your question is kind of what you just said. Like, let's not get happy. Like, let's respond to it, which means let's double down on the things that got us here. Let's not get fat and happy, and let's keep getting better. So if Vic played like hell today, played poorly, I'd have said, let's come in the gym tomorrow. Let's work harder and get better. If he had a career night statistically, I wouldn't call this the best game of his career, but statistically, I'd say the same thing, work harder and get better. We're going to respond to success and failure the same way.
Coach, when you kind of see the defensive strategy of Eastern Washington, them trying to run you guys off the three-point line and kind of playing that heavier zone look, was that something you felt like your team adjusted to well, given the 85-point output and the stronger second-half performance in terms of putting points on the board?
Did we feel like we adjusted well to the way they were defending us?
Yeah, in terms of just trying to force the offense to funnel inside.
They obviously, they were really, really aware of C.J. Frederick tonight. I didn't like that he only got 2 looks. Like, we got to figure out how to free him up a little bit more. And you could see the zone kind of stalled us out a little bit. And I wanted our running game to be more consistent, so the zone didn't have any effect. Like, we still got free looks in the open court running the floor. But what I noticed was we got to spend a little more time on zone offense. We'll do that this week. We need some more stuff against the zone to make sure he gets free, to get him some shots. And then they were switching back and forth, but the zone probably gave us more problems tonight than the man-to-man. I thought we missed a bunch of shots around the rim, guys. I mean, we scored 85, so you like that, but we missed a bunch of shots around the rim, that angled shots, quality shots. Dan Skillings felt like he missed 100 of them. It felt like, was it 100 or 110? I don't know, but he missed a bunch. Day missed some early. So I wasn't overly ecstatic about our offense tonight, but I do look down, and to get 85, you like that.
Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Wes.